Everyone, it's Yvonne here to do your What's Cracking reading. Firstly, thank you to all of your support. A few people still asking about star sign readings. I do them, but I have another channel for them, and I've explained a few times why it has become so complicated. So I'm not going to do it again. I'm just going to say to you, for reasons beyond my control, I had to open another channel. So I kept this one purely because I had so many people subscribed here and I didn't want to let the readings go on this channel, which a lot of people listen to. So if you want to get star sign readings, your daily star sign readings, they will be on the Aussie Goddess Astro Tarot. So pop over there and watch. The link is in the box below. That's all I can say. Okie dokie. We're going to use not the Thelema, the Thelema Tarot for your reading this morning. I will be getting the fares up. If you want to keep track of me in terms of seeing me face to face, I'll try and get where I'm going to be. I have to fill my paperwork out for the fairs I'm going to be at this year, so keep an eye out. I'll try and put that on my Facebook page at the Aussie Goddess. So if you want to get and join me there, that will keep you sort of tracking with me where I'm at and where I'm at. I think that's right. All right, let's get into this reading. Okay, how funny. The Tower's coming out. As I went to draw, like normally I split the deck and there's a clean split. And I do that before I start to read. I will split the deck in half. And one card stubbornly would not go back into the pack. And ordinarily I'll pull it out and have a look at it. And I didn't. I poked it back in again. And the Tower was here. So interestingly enough, the Tower is a card that talks about restarting, rebuilding, like leveling everything out, like buying an old block of land, leveling it out and starting again. And this often applies to us in a way that we have been doing things, seeing things, whatever it is in our life for so long, and we've been avoiding the changes necessary. So sometimes it can be sort of the way we think about things. We all do that. I still do it despite the fact I've been working for years on myself. I still have times when I think I need to review the way I do that, because sometimes even I've got stuck in a way of thinking or a way of seeing things that I know does not serve me any longer or is negative, and I've never really thought of it being negative. So I really feel that a lot of the stuff that we have learned when we were young sort of imprints itself on us or ingrains itself, and our beliefs are built around that. When the Tower comes through, sometimes it can talk about something in the logical world that needs to be stripped back. So it might be that you need to consider the end of a relationship. You may need to consider moving house. You may maybe have to consider your savings plan or rebuilding from there. It could be that you've had something happen suddenly with the Tower. And for me, that means in the more spiritual sense, you may have had an epiphany moment or a wake-up call where you've said or done something, or somebody else has said or done something, or you've heard something that makes you go, hang on a moment, that doesn't suit me anymore. That doesn't fit me. And I've thought about that for so long in that way that perhaps I've limited myself on who I could be. So for me, the Tower more often is that wake-up call, that sort of realization, that epiphany, that light globe moment when you say, I need to do something differently. It's not quite there. So there's the Tower. And whatever it is here, you're walking away from something. So again, sometimes people comment and they will say, I know exactly what this means because they've already been through this in those few days before the reading. Other times I think that it does sort of give you a little bit of a jolt and make you sort of feel more like you can observe who you are in life. And sometimes people will actually write, no, I know exactly what you're talking about. So whatever this Tower moment is here, the realization is going to lead you to move away from something. So it could be that, you know, you're moving house, you're moving away from a relationship, or again, it can be something spiritual where you're letting something go because emotionally it's not supporting your views or supporting who you are anymore. So it's sort of letting go of an old way of being, an old way of doing, or whatever else. Now we have the Three of Cups here. And the Three of Cups is a card that talks about celebration, celebrating with family and friends. And I feel that there is some sort of celebration here. There is some sort of feeling that you're leaving something behind. But because I have the Three Cups, I always think that perhaps there is something in a relationship that possibly is interfering with that relationship that you are now moving away from. Now, it doesn't have to be romantic. For example, you could have a friendship where you are always doing something for somebody else and they never do anything for you. And you feel that whatever it is, something is coming between the two of you and you don't want to be friends anymore. It could be that you have met somebody new and you're already in a relationship and you're choosing to walk away because the old relationship isn't really what you want anymore. Whatever it is here, there is definitely a moving away from something, but also a feeling that you are doing it because whatever you were doing before is no longer right for you. There seems to be some sort of communication that's coming in here. Now, the Wheel of Fortune sort of always says to me the time is right, things are going in your favor. So maybe there is something with that Three of Cups that has made you realize that something you've been doing here is just not working for you anymore. For example, you could be in a job where you have worked for a while, and it could be the most toxic job you've ever had. And you want to go, but you haven't made your mind up to go. And I feel like here, maybe something's going to happen here to sort of push you in the direction of looking for something new or moving away from something. I figure a lot of the time we put up with really toxic environments or really toxic relationships because the fear that comes from moving on. Now, if you're in a toxic relationship, it could be that you've got someone around you who's telling you you can't do any better or you can't go any further or whatever. And sometimes we get stuck in that energy too, where we really believe that we can't have what we want. So whatever this is for you, I feel that there is a great move towards something new, but it's not about like having something new. It's more about renewing yourself, realizing that you deserve more, realizing that the situation you've been in is not really a viable situation for you any longer. Maybe you've done it for so long that it feels comfortable, and maybe going outside of your comfort zone is something that you fear doing. But I feel like here you're going to take that leap of faith. Look, you have the Magician coming through. When the Magician comes around, it says that we are in the place to, it sort of says that we're in the place to bring in what we want. And sometimes we don't believe that. Sometimes we feel somehow or another, maybe you're still feeling sort of in victim mode where you feel like you deserve something, or it's all you can have, or all that's available to you. But the thing is with Magician, it really is saying that you have the capacity to manifest what it is you want. You know, whether that is a new job, whether it is a new friendship or a relationship, you have the capacity here with the Magician. It does sort of show that there's a new beginning here. Okay, we have the Queen of Pentacles coming through with the Seven of Swords. Okay, now that sort of makes sense to me now, and the Ten of Wands. So you're putting something down here for sure. Whenever the Ten of Wands comes out, I think it's always the time when you feel that you've done more than you should. So I feel that, you know, you may go through something and think, oh, well, I can just do another day, another week, another year, whatever it is, or it's not the time, I don't want to go. The Wheel of Fortune tells me it's time to go. But when I get the Ten of Wands through, I think that it's become a really big burden. Whatever this is for you has become a huge burden to carry around. I feel like someone's deceived you here. I feel like someone's deceived you, and that is the last straw. It's got the Queen of Pentacles next to it, and that's how it looks on the table. So to me, this feels like I've given and given and given, and now you've done the wrong thing by me, and it's time to pull up stumps and go. That's what it looks like. So to me, the Seven of Swords is definitely feeling like you've been betrayed, you've been lied to, or you have been sort of manipulated into following a certain pattern without actually realizing that something is not right here. And I feel like you are ready to put it down and manifest something brand new. All right, so here you are waiting for your ships to come in. Always a good card to get. You have the Six of Cups in the middle here. I feel like this is representing, you have the Four of Wands as well. A lot of Wands energy. So maybe you found what really makes your heart sing. Like I always say, do what makes your heart feel good. Do what your soul wants. And sometimes we get stuck in things because, and the Six of Cups is always the card that explains it the best for me. Sometimes we've grown up, you know, thinking things should be a certain way because that's what we knew as a child. So a good example for that is that whole idea of you can't leave someone or leave someone behind because for some unknown reason you've got some sort of obligation to them. The Six of Cups for me often sort of makes me feel that codependent energy where you are considering somebody else's feelings before your own. And you will know this because the first thing you say if somebody says you should leave that situation, it's toxic, you should leave that situation, it's abusive, the first thing you will say is, but I don't want to hurt that person. And that is a really good indication that you have a codependent nature because you're putting somebody else's thoughts and feelings above your own. You're taught to do that. You're taught to do that. And I've got it like a mother figure here. So it's very possible you could have had a mother who encouraged you. Oh, the Fool card is here. I felt the Fool card before I picked up the Magician, but I didn't really think it was going to come through, and we have the Queen of Wands at the end. I'm going to just have a look at the reading here, and I'm going to come back and just sort of talk about it. The Tower card tells me something is you're finishing something, you're completing something here that I feel has perhaps betrayed you, let you down. Maybe you went into a job because the job said, oh, you know, we've got this fabulous sort of culture here. We're really family oriented. Everybody does this. It's wonderful. And you go in and you realize how toxic that environment is, that you've been sold a lie. That's the sort of energy that when you go, wow, they told me this, but this is so different to what I expected. So I feel like somehow or another you're walking away from this. There seems to be either a celebration about that or some sort of communication about that, because the communication is definitely here. Wheel of Fortune telling me that the time is right. So let's just look a little bit deeper. From what I have on the table, I feel like you've been deceived. You've been betrayed or deceived by somebody on what to expect with something. You know, sometimes when we see this energy, it's very much that narcissistic sort of energy as well, where somebody's told you something for their own benefit. So you could have moved into a relationship where you were encouraged to fall for someone because of their manipulative techniques. That's the sort of energy I'm getting through, whether that is in regard to work or play. The thing is, what I see here is a person who's lost themselves in that. It's like you've lost yourself in something, perhaps you've forgotten who you are, and that's what that Tower is sort of signifying, is that, you know, perhaps getting back to yourself is what's important here. And I think sometimes when people are having trouble leaving relationships and finding excuses for why they should leave, my answer is always, you only have the one life. Like if you just put that off, you may not be here to make that decision in a few days' time. You may not be here next year to make that decision. Is it not the best thing for yourself to make the decision to have a happy life now rather than waiting always for the next thing? We spend our whole life waiting for the love, waiting for the next person, waiting for that job, waiting for that house to come. And that's all we do. We spend our life waiting. We put ourselves on pause because we're waiting. So definitely feeling here, because I have the Queen of Wands at the end, that some sort of decision is being made here. Oh, I have just shuffled the bum off that. Totally shuffled the bum off it. Has the Four of Pentacles. Somebody's refusing to let go here. It may be a person here with the King of Wands. Maybe you are with someone or even dating someone or loving someone that isn't really doing the right thing by you. Maybe you've got yourself stuck in some sort of cycle here. But to me, that was just astounding the way that happens. So I feel that there is movement coming. I feel that you may need a little bit of time to realize what you want, but you are definitely moving towards something more comfortable for yourself. And I feel that the comfort comes from a decision being made as to, am I in the place I want to be in at this time of life? Or do I want to wait another year? Do I want to wait another 5 years? Where will I be in 5 years? Maybe you need to set some goals about what you want. All right, let's have a look at the Fairy Oracle. When you pull the card out a second time, I think, look, the Singer of Courage has come out. When I pull a card out for a second time, I think this is something that needs to change here. If there is something that you think a certain way, or it's a physical experience that is not serving you, it's about you seeing something different. Maybe you're hanging on to your past here as well. You know, sometimes we get stuck in that whole idea of, oh, things were so easy when I was younger, or so easy when this was happening, or maybe something like that's happening here that you're choosing now to walk away from. This is card number 8. The Singer of Courage, bravery, sublimation of fear, and moral strength. It's only a little explanation here. Most people have decided by the age of 3 or 4 what they must do in order to survive. Now that's really interesting because that comes really early. We learn so much before the age of 2 and between the ages of 2 and 8 about ourselves. So much. So if somebody is manipulating us in those early years, a figure that we trust, sometimes we can grow up with a complete misconception about who we are and who we are in the world. And I say this all the time. Sometimes you need to stop and ask yourself, what is it I want? Because there will come a time where you start asking that question and you won't know who you are to respond to that. And that is really sad for many of us trying to get past it. I know somebody said that to me not long ago. I really find it hard to understand what I want because you're so used to doing what everybody else wants because of that codependent nature. So it says here, from this decision, this belief about how the world is, most of our fears and self-limitations grow. Have we the courage to discover and break through these limiting beliefs, awaken to greater possibilities, and go beyond our objectives? We need to transcend our fears and accept the gift of courage. So if nothing else today, if nothing else, just remember that everything you think and everything you do is from what you've learned. And you have to ask yourself, is it right for me? Does it serve me still? And do I need to rethink what I'm doing here? It could be about your children, because sometimes, let's face it, we can become very, I almost want to say absorbed by the fact we need to do more or we need to give more, when in reality, maybe we've done enough. And is it time to pull the plug on that? Whatever it is for you, there is a need for you to gain the courage to say, that's it. I'm moving on from this and I'm going to do what's right for me. You're never too old. Thanks.